this live conversation from the residence of former Deputy President Gachagua. Now, in the aftermath of the June 25th protests on Wednesday that left more than 15 Kenyans dead, hundreds others injured, and millions in property damage, questions are swirling about who is truly responsible for the chaos that gripped the nation. And now DCP party leader Gachagua. Mr. Gachagua, good evening, and thank you for joining us on the broadcast today.
Evening, Michelle, and once more, most welcome to my home. And I'm very happy that you've given me an opportunity to engage the people of Kenya so that we can have a discussion on issues affecting our country and how we proceed from here as a nation.
Right. Well, let's begin with the most pressing question, Mr. Gachagua. Over 15 Kenyans died during the protests on Wednesday. Your name, sir, has come up again and again from members of parliament, from governors, even from security sources, as someone who bankrolled the elements that turned violent during the protests. Did you fund the protest, Mr. Gachagua?
First and foremost, let me take this opportunity to send my condolences to the families of the 15 young people who are shot by police. Let me also, say sorry to all those who are injured, and let me also empathize with the business people who lost billions of shillings through looting and other activities that took place. Michelle, I don't have an answer to such a question because it is totally misinformed. And government people want to run away from the truth. And this government continues to sink in more trouble because of burying their head in the sand. Anytime Kenyans have expressed themselves about their dissatisfaction with the way the country is being run, the way the country is being governed, it is said that those people have been financed, they have been mobilized, they have been incited, and therefore they will never address the real problem. What happened on Wednesday, Michelle, was the first anniversary of the Gen Z massacre of 2024 that was presided over by William Ruto and executed by Kithure Kindiki. And you know for sure how many people died after very serious abductions and extrajudicial killings. The Gen Z protests of 2024 was a spontaneous reaction by young people protesting, the issues of the Finance Bill 2024, mismanagement of the country, corruption, and general impunity that has been exhibited by this administration. The president then, under the pressure of the Gen Z, undertook to address all the issues that the Gen Zs had raised. But once he was able to bring Raila on his side, and he got the political comfort that with Raila Odinga he doesn't need anybody else and nobody else can threaten his rule, he backtracked on all the issues that have been raised. And a lot of impunity has been exhibited in this country. And when it came to the first year anniversary, the young people once more came out. Michelle, the Gen Z protests do not need anybody to finance them. The Gen Zs are leaderless, they are tribalist, they have no structure, they have no organization. And again, Michelle, I think it is really playing around with the people of Kenya to imagine that Rigathi Gachagua or anybody else can coordinate activities in 26 counties at the same time. And the issue is this, the question one must ask yourself, and that is why the government must stop taking people for granted. If these activities were planned, we have the National Intelligence Service. Where were they? If they did not know, then they slept on the job. They are not supposed to be in office. If they knew and did nothing about it, again, they are guilty of failing to stop anarchy and violence. But from where I sit, Michelle, the protests were very peaceful. The Gen Zs were not violent. They had water, they had smartphones. The violence was brought about by infiltration by goons who looted shops, escorted by police. You have seen videos all over, thugs creating mayhem as police watch. You have seen videos, some thugs arriving in police vehicles, So, and as we speak today, many protesters were arrested, others were killed. Not a single goon was shot or arrested. As we speak, this happened on Wednesday. Today is Friday. All the people who looted shops, videos are there, the images are clear. None has been arrested.
All right, let me just go back to what you said. There are allegations that these goons that you say infiltrated these protests were goons that you paid. You and your allies have been mentioned adversely. You've seen the Interior Cabinet Secretary mention that they do have intelligence, that this was an attempted coup. We've seen calls for your arrest following that statement, Mr.
I don't know how fragile this government is, that a CS Interior is walking in the streets of Nairobi in the morning and you are saying that was an attempted coup. If they had intelligence that goons had been paid by Rigathi Gachagua or anybody else, why didn't they arrest these goons? If these were my goons, I want to tell you, Michelle, today they would have been shot dead. They would be in custody. Why, if they had intelligence that Rigathi Gachagua or anybody else for that matter had paid goons to come and cause chaos in Nairobi, why didn't they act on that intelligence? Why did they supervise the goons wreaking havoc in the streets of Nairobi? How did they allow goons to go to a police station unarmed and take over a police station? And they had the intelligence. I think the CS Interior must respect the people of Kenya. People are not that stupid, It is very evident that in Nairobi, the real goons came after 6 p.m. and downtown, River Road, Nyamakema, Tauri Avenue. The havoc, the looting was done in darkness under police supervision. Why were these guns not shot? Why were these thugs not shot? Why were they not arrested? And if anybody had funded them, the first evidence would have been to arrest those people, and then they can give information as to who had funded them. Right. Why would a government let goons create mayhem under their supervision, under their very eyes, for a whole day, for the whole night without taking any action? Why they did not do it?
You mentioned rightfully, Mr. Gachagua, that Kenyans are not stupid people. What Kenyans want is answers because lives were lost. But what we're seeing is a blame game. You blaming those who infiltrated the goons, who infiltrated the protests, the government blaming the opposition. Your name has come up. So if you say the protests were infiltrated by goons, who planted them? Do you have names? Do you have evidence? Have you recorded a statement?
I am not government. It's not my responsibility to stop goons from going to Nairobi. It is not my responsibility to arrest goons. That is the responsibility of government. These are people who are paid by taxpayers to make sure that they protect life and property. It is not the work of Rigathi Gachagua to go to the streets of Nairobi and protect life and property. I don't have such capacity. That is the work of the government. And they cannot shift blame and start saying, no, these goons were organized by so and so. Why did you allow them to terrorize Kenyans? Why did you allow them to loot property? What have you done since they did that? Even as you are looking for whoever could have sent them, why didn't you deal with them on the spot? Because you have seen videos, Michelle. Goons raiding supermarkets as police watch. You have seen videos, goons having conversation with police officers. You saw during the demonstrations against the death of Albert Ojwang, goons singing praises in the praise of Governor Nairobi outside City Hall. Today, it is now 2 weeks. None has been arrested. Those images are there. That is not the work of Rigathi Gachagua.
But you, Mr. Gachagua, are on record talking about state-sponsored goons. Where is the evidence?
The evidence is that if you see goons in a police vehicle, who owns that police vehicle? That is the state. If you see goons wreaking havoc and police are just watching, you don't need rocket science to know who has sponsored the goons. You know, if goons are wreaking havoc the whole day and none has been arrested, it's obvious who has brought those goons, because the government cannot arrest their own goons. If these goons were brought by the opposition, as they are alleging, Michelle, all of them would be custody, they would be in court. But these goons have not been arrested, and they cannot be arrested because they were brought by the state.
Let me ask, do you believe in justice for victims of the June 25th, 2024 protests first?
Do I?
Do you believe in justice for the victims?
I do.
So where were you, Mr. Gachagua, on Wednesday, the 25th of June, during this week's protests?
I was just here in the house. I was in my house here the whole day. Until I was watching on TV until they stopped the live stream.
And you showed up after, you know, bodies were on the streets.
Yes, yes.
Kenyans
and I didn't want to join the protests. First and foremost, during the 2024 protests, the Gen Z asked us, the leaders, the elders, to keep off the protests. And that is as it should be, because they don't want to be owned by anybody, because they are not at the direction of anybody. They are not financed by anybody. These are our young people who are bright, who are intelligent, who are innovative, who are doing their own things. I think if I had turned up in the streets on Wednesday, it would have given credence to those very ridiculous accusations that I'm the one who finances Gen Zs. I deliberately kept off because the Gen Zs had asked us to keep off. Again, I have nothing to do with it. I'm not their leader, I'm not their financier. I just support them morally. You know, I am in support of their cause, that we shouldn't have abductions, we shouldn't have extrajudicial killings. But I had no business, you know, going to join them in the streets, because that is their thing. And it is leaderless, it is tribalist, it is not political. It is something by our young people as part of their patriotic duty and civic duty to have the country, you know, run in the right direction. Yes.
There have been concerns of leaders, you know, so to speak, riding on the Gen Z wave. In fact, you have accused opposition leader, you know, ODM leader Raila Odinga of riding on the Gen Z wave. But 1 year ago, Mr. Gachagua, you told Kenyans that police must act with force to protect property.
Absolutely.
Right?
Property must be protected. And if police had protected property, not kill protesters, protect property, protect life and property. Don't take away life, either of the protesters or of ordinary people, and protect their property. That was my position.
I mean,
and even when I was in government,
saying, when you see a policeman with a gun, do you expect them to kiss you?
No. What I said is that the police must use their arms to protect life and property, not to take away life. That was my position.
Right, so
and you remember, Michelle,
Mr. Gachagua, that you also said that the IG did a good job during the protests last year. So the question is,
not the Gen Z
as I asked you whether you believe in justice for the victims of the protests,
yes.
What changed? Other than your job title, were you wrong then, or are you being opportunistic?
I didn't say the IG did a good job during the Gen Z protests. It's the 2023 protests. And he did a good job in protecting life and property, you know, to make sure that property is not looted in Nairobi. And that was a good job. And even the police in this one, had they protected property, life and property, I would still say kudos. That is my position. But you do remember, Michelle, the Gen Z protest of 2024 is what created a very serious wedge between me and President William Ruto. Right. Because I took a very firm position that these young people should be heard and what they are saying has merit. And I disagreed with the president in a discussion between me and him, and I told him that I disapprove of use of force against young people, and I did urge him to listen to them and consider doing away with the finance bill of 2024, which he refused. And when a decision was made to deal with these young people, I disagreed. And when the president insisted, and these young people were massacred on June 25, 2024, the following day on June 26, if you remember, as deputy president, I called a press conference in Mombasa and disassociated myself from the actions of the president and the government. And I was a sitting deputy president. And I said, I don't agree. The president had said these young people are criminals. I say they are not criminals. These are our children. These are my sons and daughters. They have a legitimate concern, and they should not be massacred. And that created a very big problem between me and the president, and he was very offended, and he started in earnest to embark on how to get me out of office, which he successfully did on October 18th. But that was what broke the camel's back. And I told him off, and I disassociated myself from the killing of Gen Z, and I was in office. So let nobody say that Rigathi Gachagua is siding with the Gen Z or saying they should not be killed because he's out of office. I am on record, and videos are there, that I took a position in support of our young people when I was in office. I did.
In 2023, during the Azimio demos, protesters were brutalized during the demos, and you said nothing. In fact, at the time, you supported the crackdown. Why should anyone take you seriously
I did not support the use of excessive force. What I said, and I will repeat it any other day, the police have a duty to protect life and property. You know, and I asked IG, please protect property. And you remember what we saw on Wednesday did not happen in 2023. We asked the police, and I was in the forefront, that in any situation when there is unrest, when there is civil disobedience, when there is peaceful protest, in whatever circumstance, the police have a duty to protect life and property. That is my position. It is true as it was then, it is true as it is today. Had the police allowed the peaceful protest and then protect destruction of property from goons, we will not be speaking what we are speaking here today. I would still be saying the police have done a nice job had they protected property as they should.
What are your thoughts on the directive by the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen to police to shoot to kill those approaching a police station in the event of protests like this?
You know, Michelle, this is a height of impunity and arrogance by the Ruto administration and people who are close to him. Kipchumba Murkomen is a young, excited cabinet secretary, full of himself because of money and power. He cannot, against the law, give instructions to police to shoot to kill. To start with, when he was in Senate, he said that the National Police Service is independent and he cannot give them directions on what to do. Then here again, he is asking the police to shoot to kill anybody within the vicinity of a police station. To start with, a police station is a public institution, and members of public have every right to go to a police station. Even where you are protected areas like State House and installations of the Department of Defense, if people turn up there, you don't shoot them. You find out why they are there and arrest them if they are there for an interior motive and charge them. Again, let me tell police officers, I had Kipchumba Murkomen telling police officers to shoot people and he'll protect them. That is a lie, and they should not believe him. And I want to tell the police officers, they have seen what has happened. The police officers who tortured and killed Albert Ojwang today are in custody. They are before court on their own. They are facing murder charges. Yet the man who gave them instructions is at home doing his own things. Let me tell the police officers in our country, they are my brothers and sisters, they are my sons and daughters. Please follow the law. Don't take that stupid instruction from Kipchumba Murkomen seriously. Because you shoot somebody, you'll be arrested and taken to court. And I have told police officers to be very careful. I worked with William Ruto and people close to him. They are users. They'll use you, and when things get out of hand, they'll sacrifice you at high noon. I want to urge all police officers across the country not to agree to obey unlawful orders, not to agree to break the law. And I want to guide them for the last time. The work of our police officers, I was an officer in the security sector, is guided by 4 documents that are very, very important. The Constitution of Kenya 2010, the Penal Code Cap 63, the Criminal Procedure Code Cap 75, and Evidence Act Cap 80. Those 4 documents should guide any police officer in this country. And anytime they are told to do something by their superiors, they should refer to those 4 documents. And if they find that whatever they are being asked to do is contrary to what is contained in those 4 documents, they must politely tell their seniors they are not able to do it. And if their seniors insist, they should ask for something in writing. They should ignore what Kipchumba has said. Kipchumba, Murkomen is those young boys around William Ruto with a bloated ego, with a lot of arrogance, with a lot of impunity. And I had problems initially when William Ruto wanted to appoint Kipchumba Murkomen as CS Interior when we just came in. And I told him this job requires somebody a little bit mature, somebody who can be able to regulate the security sector with a bit of knowledge and understanding and calmness.
Okay, let's hold
the way he is going, we are going to have a lot of problems in the security sector.
Let's hold it there, Mr. Gachagua. As we take a short break, we're speaking live to Rigathi Gachagua, former Deputy President and now DCP party leader, as we seek accountability as to who or what went wrong during the Gen Z protests of June 25th this week. Take a short break. We'll be back with so much more, including questions of what next for Rigathi Gachagua. He keeps saying Ruto must go, but if he does, what's his plan? That's coming up after the break.
Kote nchini mbele tuendelee, mbele Kenya tuende mbele,
Kenya tuende mbele. NCBA, go for it.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
And now I pronounce you.
Everything else can wait, but the KRA tax amnesty cannot. Because it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to pay all outstanding principal debts for periods up to December 31st, 2023.
Hatujaki.
Today, deadline is 30th June 2025.
Mafuta safi ya kupika.
inapatikana kwa duka lililo karibu nawe au jitofari.com na delivery ni free hata kwa kikitoki
Woman Woman
Parastatals in Kenya, there are about 250. 92 of them, the CEOs are from the Gachagua community. That is tribalism. If you look at key institutions, you know, even where he has given other communities, he has put PSs from his community under them. And let me tell you, why has the Kasi narrative gone viral? If it was a bad thing, why would it go viral? You know, William Ruto cannot dictate to us how to refer to each other. I am looking for my family lineage. Yeah? The Kambas are my cousins because the language they speak and the one I speak, we understand each other. The Mijikenda are our cousins. The Kisis are our cousins. The Luyas are our cousins. The Kurias are our cousins. You know? The Masais are my in-laws. Right. You know? The Meru, the Embu are my brothers and sisters. William Ruto cannot dictate to me on how to relate with the family, you know? And he should keep on family matters, you know? He can relate with Raila Odinga. He calls him his brother. We don't have a problem. The Luyas and the Luos have been calling each other Shemeji. Nobody has ever had a problem. Let me tell you where the whole of this thing is. This annoyance is the place of the mountain in Kenyan politics. The mountain, because of their numbers, where they are is the winning lot. William Ruto is bitter that he won the election with the mountain. The mountain has left him to join others. And that is why they are saying this casting thing is a bad thing. But when the mountain voted for him, he was very happy. He never called us tribal. He was saying we are very good people. He was always visiting us. We don't have a contract with him. And he shouldn't have a sense of entitlement that the mountain must be with him.
All right.
The mountain has left him. The mountain is with other people.
Let's talk about government.
And the sooner he appreciates that the mountain people have a democratic right to work with other Kenyans, not him. It cannot be by force, because he wants to force us to like him or to vote for him. And we will not. We have a responsibility. We have a democratic right to work with Kalonzo. We have a democratic right to work with Matiang'i. We have a democratic right to work with Eugene Wamalwa. We have a democratic right to work with the Mijikenda. Why is he having a problem with that?
I'm glad you bring us there. Let's talk about good governance. That is what Kenyans want. But we've seen you under the DCP party aligned with several people. We've seen Moses Kuria previously, Justin Muturi, Mithika Linturi. Yourself and these men have essentially been branded political rejects of the Kenya Kwanza administration. Linturi, for example, faced a motion to remove him from office for gross misconduct. Is the team you're fronting the best you can offer as alternative government for Kenyans, Mr. Gachagua?
We are not political rejects because the people of Kenya never rejected me. It's William Ruto who rejected me. Justin Muturi was not rejected by the people of Kenya. He was rejected by William Ruto. Mithika Linturi was rejected by William Ruto. It's only William Ruto who rejected us. William Ruto is not the equivalent of the people of Kenya. That anybody he has a problem with is a reject. And you must ask yourself, where is the problem here? These are all people who supported William Ruto. But he has disagreed with all of them, and he says they are incompetent. According to him, he is the only one who is competent. But you must ask yourself here, who is competent? Because after I have left, nothing has changed. After Kuria left, nothing has changed. Muturi has left, nothing has changed. Linturi has left, nothing has changed. What is the common denominator here in terms of failure? It's William Ruto in matters of incompetence. When he came in as president, we had a working health system. Today it has collapsed. When he came in, we had a working university financing model. It has collapsed. When he came in, roads were going on across Kenya. They have all stored. So in matters incompetence, it's William Ruto who is incompetent. But he's very quick. It's like in the streets when pickpockets or fellows who do mugging, you know, they would steal something from you, then shout, thief, 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 thief. That is what William Ruto does, to hide his own incompetence. He has changed his cabinet 4 times. Nothing has changed. So what is the common denominator? That there is failure in government in Kenya, that nothing is working. The common denominator across the whole scenario is William Ruto. So you cannot say that we have been rejected by who? We have been rejected by one person, and as it works, the people of Kenya are also rejecting him because with the time they have realized where the problem is.
All right. We have several people fronting themselves as alternative leaders or for alternative leadership in the country. You had the retired Chief Justice David Maraga saying that he's positioning himself as the Gen Z candidate. You've also been speaking the Gen Z language, but which one of these candidates, you included, is actually listening to the Gen Z? Are you really listening or just using them, riding on the wave?
The Gen Z are very bright people. They are marvelous young people. I have such tremendous respect for them. You know, they know who they can trust in this country. The Gen Z know at their lowest moment when they were being killed and massacred by William Ruto and Kithure Kindiki, when everybody was demonizing them, when William Ruto was calling them criminals, who came to stand for them? It was Rigathi Gachagua. I sacrificed my job as deputy president, a very good job with the parks, with security, with all obedience, you know, and I said, I want to start with these children. And I attracted the wrath of William Ruto for starting with these young people. It's these young people, the Gen Z, who will look at the whole political landscape and will decide where they want to place their trust. And I think they are intelligent enough to know what they want to do. I don't want to force myself on the Gen Z. All the time I'm being accused of funding them or financing them, you know. And what has happened is that the Gen Z have appreciated me and accepted me because I'm always being accused of being their leader. of being the one who is financing them, who is doing this and that. But all I have done is stand with them and stand for them, and I'll continue to do so. And I'm sorry, I'm told that they have taken away the security of Chief Justice David Maraga because of appearing to support the Gen Zs. That is how petty this administration is. That is Kipchumba Murkomen. If somebody is seen in the streets, it's democracy. Going to show solidarity with the Gen Zs is part of our democracy. Now, taking away the security of David Maraga because he was in the streets, it's a lot of, it's pettiness. It's very petty, It's unacceptable, I must tell you, Michelle.
All right. And you mentioned several things. Once you said that you're actually glad you got impeached at some point to avoid going down with President William Ruto. Now that you've been impeached, you didn't speak up then. Can you speak up now? For example, who, Mr. Gachagua, ordered the invasion into Uhuru Kenyatta's family when you were DP?
Let me tell you, Michelle, in a very simple matter. Matters of a retired president, nobody lesser than the person of the president can make a decision about their lives. Okay? There is nobody who can withdraw the security of Uhuru Kenyatta without asking William Ruto. There is nobody who can touch his farm without asking William Ruto. It's as short as that. And William Ruto knew what he planned, and then he went out of the country so that it could look like we are the ones who are doing it. But I want to tell you from practice, and you can find out, matters to do with a retired president are decided by the president himself. And that settles the matter as to who could be responsible in doing this or not. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the media. When you were DP, you were a huge critic of the media, never missing an opportunity to disparage the Fourth Estate, all up until just before your ejection as deputy president. Now, this week, after Wednesday's, order against live broadcasts of the protest, we saw you coming up with a statement in support of media and press freedom. What has changed since then?
Michelle, I've never been against the media. I have been a critic of the media.
You called us as
I have been a critic of the media
several times.
I have been a critic of the media in a nice manner by granting you an interview to ask me questions. That is what it is. I am entitled to my own opinion. The fact that I grant interviews any one time and answer any question, demonstrates my respect for the media. And I want to say that switching off the live stream was done deliberately so that the looting is not recorded, so that the goons are not recorded. I have told you it was a scheme by William Ruto and Kipchumba Murkomen, and that is why the media had to be switched off. And I want to tell William Ruto, please don't take us back to the 80s during the Moi era. William Ruto, kindly, we are in 2025. How do you interfere with media freedom? The media freedom is a basic freedom that is well entrenched in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And for you even to change a clause in the Bill of Rights, Michelle, you must go for a referendum. And again, William Ruto is taking us back to torture. You have seen somebody being tortured in police station. What was happening in Nyayo House in the torture chambers? William Ruto, you are PhD holder. You simply cannot take us to what President Moi was doing in the 80s. This is 2025. And I want to say, and I really want to empathize with the media, we are very sorry about what happened. That should never happen. The hallmark of any democracy is the freedom of the media. Media freedom is absolutely important because Kenyans are entitled to information, And I have told you why the live stream was switched off, so that nobody can capture those images of what was happening. But the good thing is that with the advent of social media, the videos are coming through. We can see exactly what happened. It was not seen on mainstream media, but the videos are now being reviewed, and you put pieces together, you can see exactly what happened and why the TVs were being switched off.
All right.
But Michelle, I am a fan of the media, and I am also a Christian of the media. Media has given me a lot of coverage, and that is because why? I don't shy away from the media. I speak my mind. I answer any question. I will never support gagging of the media. But I reserve my right to criticize the media, but I will not gag the media. And I think those two things are different. Criticism is healthy. If you are not doing what, in my view, is not right, I'll say so. You are equally at liberty to criticize me and what I'm doing. and I'll never take any offense. I'll have the right of reply, and then you have to take, a stand that you want to take.
All right, Mr. Gachagua, as we wind up, what do you say to Kenyans who are watching today? Many of them seeking answers and accountability. Kenyans who lost their friends, who lost their families, who are shot at, who are angry and don't know who to believe anymore.
I want to tell the people of Kenya not to give up. We are very resilient people, and 2 years is a long time, but not too long. The people of Kenya withstood the brutality of the colonial regime for years, but God saw them through. Again, we had 24 years of the Moi repression. Again, we prevailed. Another 2 years of the Ruto regime will prevail. And I want to say, I have never advocated the removal of President William Ruto from office through unconstitutional means. I am a believer in the rule of law. I am a believer in the Constitution. I want President William Ruto to be removed from office through the ballot. I've heard him say, crying today, that he doesn't know how we want him to go home. I've heard him crying today. I saw him very mellowed. The usual bravado is not there. I saw him very mellowed, crying. Oh, people are saying Ruto must go. I need to understand how I need to go. President, don't throw the ball back to us. Kenyans have decided you'll be one term, you'll go. The decision of how you go is yours. There are two ways you can make a decision. One, you can resign and go home in dignity. Two, you can wait for the people of Kenya to remove you through the ballot in 2027. And I don't think anybody wants to overthrow William Ruto. All this nonsense that there was a coup, or they wanted to overthrow William Ruto, is all nonsense. It's just Ruto boys trying to hype him and cheat him so that he doesn't see the reality that Kenyans are agitating for reforms. Kenyans are agitating for good governance. They want to just lie to William Ruto that all this clamor you are seeing is not genuine. Kenyans are not angry. They still love you. Oh, they still support you. They are all lies. Oh, it was a coup. Oh, they want to overthrow you. That is all nonsense. Kenyans are agitating for change. They want good governance, and end to abductions, and end to extrajudicial killings, and end to corruption. And I think Kenyans are decent enough to allow William Ruto to finish his term, and they exit him in a constitutional way. And myself, I'm a firm believer. That's why I talk about one term. Right. I don't talk about half term. I want William Ruto to serve the remaining 2 years. Through the ballot, we take him home. But if he decides he's tired, the way he has talked today, asking how we want him to go, he has the opportunity, if he wishes, he can resign and go home. And then we proceed.
Mr. Gachagua, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for your time and for speaking to NTV tonight. That is Rigathi Gachagua, former Deputy President and DCP party leader, speaking to us about who was responsible for the chaos witnessed during the June 25th protests this week. Many thanks for watching tonight. My name is Michelle Ngele Odhiambo. Good evening.
Much, Michelle, for that and for that conversation. We see your feedback as of viewers on our social media platforms, on YouTube and all other platforms. Keep sharing your views. We shall look at them. She'll give us tips on what stories to follow up on in regards to what the former deputy president has said with some of his allegations, some unsubstantiated, and we shall see what the other side of the political divide is going to be saying. And we shall also be looking to see what the Gen Zs, who everyone is saying they stand with, have to say about what has been said before, because a number of them, when we put out the post about this interview, was saying, let him not come and act like he is our savior, because we are still not part of any political formation. Thanks for joining us on NTV Weekend Edition. My name is Dan Mwangi, alongside Flora Atieno, who has been on the sign language interpretation tonight. Have yourselves a good night. After this, the trend comes up.
This is NTV.
Hi, cousins. The
forest changed, but the monkeys remain the same.
Who brought in the Adani, they brought all this politics.
Let us not continue living in a fool's paradise in Kenya.
In a world full of noise and headlines.
Tonight, breaking news.
The nuclear... Now, this week, social media... Death of Albert Ojwang.
Who makes sense of it all? Who gives you the last word? Every week, we go beyond the sound bites and spin.
We did not ask for a conversation. We asked for actions.
Decades of experience, we uncover the why behind the what.
Police brutality that people associate you the most is the issue of taxes.
From cultural shifts to big ideas, we ask the tough question.
Truth has to be told.
And Father, we pray that this social media that has decided to run our country...
No fluff, no bias, just clarity.
We're young people, we're not scared, we're not moved.
With insights, data, and history, we connect the dots like no one else.
Where the lines between devotion and danger blur.
The Last Word, starting this Tuesday, the 1st of July, on NTV.
Salam Maria, umejaa neema, Bwana yunawe, umebarikiwa kuliko wanawake wote, na Yesu mzao wa tumbo lako amebarikiwa. Maria mtakatifu, mama wa Mungu, utuombee sisi wakosefu, sasa na saa ya kufa kwetu. Amina.
To get Salam Maria by Easy Concepts, dial star 811 star 923 #.
Skiza na Nation.
This month on EdTech Mondays Kenya, we look at harnessing lifelong learning in marginalized communities through technology, creativity, and community-driven programs.
Right now, if you do not have skills in technology, then you're missing out on a lot of things. Because I don't think there's any sector that does not rely on technology.
One thing that is beautiful about the offline e-learning solution is that you don't need internet to access the learning materials. It is offline.
Join us on the 30th of June at 8:30 p.m. only on NTV.
I know as Christians we have those things that we aren't quite sure if they are a sin or it's okay for us to do them, right?
For example, is it okay as Christians to listen to secular music? Well, this week on Crossover, we'll be addressing some of these Christian dilemmas.
Napala kwenye studio will be joined by JC, Remedy, and of course a minister of God to help us address this matter.
Make a date with us this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on NTV.
This week on, unasikia? This week on twende, tuko Mnarani.
We visit an old coastal town with a dark past.
Singekuwa natembea hivi.
Ningeshikwa.
Ungekwenda kuuzwa. Kwanza ungeweza kufika hapa. Ulikuwa ni mji wa matajiri.
What happened here and how is this mysterious pillar connected to it all? I also try my hand at beekeeping, and yes, the buzz is real.
How does that feel? That's the vibration of life.
Yeah. Travel with us this Sunday at 8 p.m. only on NTV.
I'm Daisy, and I'm here to report for work. I'm the new nurse.
Wewe ni ukuja hapa na kiburi tena ukajiandike kazi? Kwani uone hapo hivyo kuna line? Ungoje hiyo interview.
Wambo unajua 50k ni nini kwangu wewe? Wambo nataka pesa yangu wewe. Ama Kenya mzima itajua uko Kenya na unadanganya watu kwa Amerika.
Haki hapana.
Sly. Si unajua sisi ndio wale wa kujali maslahi. Yaani nakuambia ni vile hali ya uchumi imedorora. Ila tungekununulia keki kubwa hivi, alafu tukupake kwa mashavu.
Nataka 24 mwezi wa 8. Mimi bado ni mdogo. Ni filter tu ya umaskini imenipiga hivi dadangu.
Anas Toto every Saturday at 8 p.m. on NTV. Your
mornings just got louder, fresher, and way more fun. The Vibe Shift.
Turning up your late mornings with real talk, hot topics, and straight vibes.
From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we're diving into the stories you care about.
Plus celebrity drops, guilty pleasure playlist.
Whether you're walking, chilling, or on the move, we've got you covered.
Catch Aseli and Claudia every weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Only on Nation FM. Your voice, your vibe.
We're bringing you the hottest show in town.
Unataki kwetu mix manze tima.
From exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the game.
When you hear music, na ukose kuona dance, na wezi ona dance bila muziki.
Watching Kwetu Mix, respect the OGs. Yeah.
To a DJ set that will knock your socks off.
Kwetu Mix NTV. Monday mpaka Friday, let's go.
Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Kwetu Mix every weekday only on NTV.
Kwetu Mix in association with Airtel.
Subscribe to the Smarter Bundle today. Dial *544# or visit My Airtel app. Airtel Smarter Bundle. Browse, chat, call. Airtel Money. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Baba yetu uliye mbinguni, jina lako litukuzwe. Ufalme wako ufike. Utakalo lifanyike duniani kama mbinguni. Utupe leo mkate wetu wa kila siku. Utusamee makosa yetu kama nasi tunavyowasamea waliotukosea. Usitutie katika majaribu, bali utuokoe na yule muovu.
To get Baba Yetu by Skiza na Nation, dial *811 *924#.
Daima. Skiza na Nation.
I may not always agree with Barbara, but this time you should learn to respect your former bosses, boy.
But I am more than just a former employee, and my big sister knows that too.
Sister?
Does Mrs. D know about you coming here?
My mom is innocent. Coach George, he's the one you should be investigating. He is a manipulative liar.
Are you working for Jackie Sagrado?
Huh? Where did this come from? I'm not.
You're not supposed to be here. Relax. I'm just here from work. And I have no plans of worming my way into your family.
Widows wear. This is NTV.
Kwa sababu hata sometimes mbao ikishika maji haikuangi poa, si ndio? Uko na uhakika?
Needed.
So that we Jen uko ready for the rain, eh? So tutaweza kufanya sound?
Tunaweza test sound, eh? Na hii.
Na hiyo. Okay.
So test 1 2.
1 2. Check. No test kaida.
Sign you.
We're about to go on a hike. Excited. Tumepaka hapa, kuna guide wetu hapa.
Kama mnataka kupata adventure very unique, kujeni Entaso. Inaitwaje?
Yes, it was very nice because I took a break from the crew. They're usually very ni headache to work now. Hata inakuanga suffering, but Mungu ni mkuu. So at least nimepewa break. Hata unaona na glow. Si hata wewe umesema na glow. Yeah. Ni hii space. Unajua kwa relationship ni poa kuwa na space. Yeah.
Oh, welcome guys. We are back. Ni karibu niseme we are back with a bang. Then nikafikiria we've overused that word. But yeah, bang it is.
Okay.
I missed Twende because I get to experience new environments. I get to go to adventures, which I really love. They say that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Me nimewa miss. And I know you guys have missed us. You've missed seeing fresh episodes. You've missed,
us being on air.
For this season, I'm actually working on Twende Nyeri. We're in Nyeri. It's a county that we usually pass through, but we've never focused on.
Mimi ni wa Nairobi, but so ushago Nyeri. So finally tulienda Nyeri. And unajua ushaga wako labda hata uoni kaa kuna kitu ya maana sana. But I was very surprised. We had such a good adventure.
Nyeri was beautiful. I actually didn't know that Nyeri County is the home of the longest or the tallest waterfall in Kenya and also the fastest river in Africa.
For me, kwanza kuna episode tulishoot, I think ni hiyo ya waterfalls. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa inanikasirisha sana. Kwa sababu mimi si mse napenda hype.
Nyeri, we stayed at a historical place in the country. And it has a what? Nini inaitwanga hiyo kitu? Hiyo place iko na place ya ku watch a watering hole where animals come to drink water. So the place has a bell. When they see animals, they ring a bell, which is very loud. It makes you wake up. So immediately I heard the bell. I woke up immediately and ran with my camera at the watering hole.
And I saw Njora do something. I was actually nilishtuka sana. I didn't expect it. Actually even Njora did not expect it.
Vile nimesema watu wa ushago wako fit sana. Unaona vile hapa tunajifanya hapa lazima tuende gym. Wewe hauna nguvu. Hebu enda ushago first to test strength yako. Utajua. I got a first hand experience of how unfit I am.
Nilikuwa na expect ataanguka cause nilikuwa nimekaa tu na kamera nikingojea. Ndio alianza kucomplain vile alifika katikati. Anaona kurudi ni mbali. Kuenda ni mbali.
Sasa umeona show yenye ni ya kila mtu. Kwa wale si wako shule, wanaendanga mafanki, hii itawakumbusha. Kwa wale mlimaliza shule, mna miss mafanki, hii ni yenu pia. Kwa wale wenye hata mwezi ongea, hii ni kitu ya kulook forward to. Watu, welcome to Laikipia.
We went to some amazing falls, and I remember I have a weird and a very small portions of the recollection of the Thompson Falls that I went when I was a child. Because nakumbuka tukienda trip ya shule, Thompson Falls nikiwa primo. But ile Thompson Falls mimi nimeenda saa hii, ilikuwa inanikalia a bit foreign and a bit posh, and the waterfalls were a bit dramatic. But let me tell you, kwenda chini si shida. Actually, when you get down na feel, see, I am those people who, even at home, nalalanga na mvua so that I can get sleep. So for me, kwenda hata Thompson Falls, pale chini and you can feel the water hitting, bit by bit. To me, that was therapeutic until ikafika time ya kupanda juu.
Stop recording.
Why should I?
You just struggle. Today is late.
Oh, na Jen alilemewa.
Wabunge hamjambo. Hebu tuinuane mkono tuone kama tuko pamoja. Tafadhali inua mkono. Tujue sote tuko pamoja. Asante sana. Mr. Speaker, mimi kwa majina naitwa Mukaria John. I am the senior most politician in this parliament. Mr. Speaker, nashangaa. Hii serikali inataka kulegeza Kenya mahali tulikuwa miaka 40. Wakati tulikuwa na one media house ambayo ilikuwa inaitwa KBC ama VOK. Wakati serikali ilikuwa inataka kufanya maneno ya finyifinyange, wanakata stima na wanazima TV. Kifo ya Robert Youko na wengi ambao waliuawa wakati huo. Wakati huo serikali ilikuwa inapiga simu KBC, wanauliza Mheshimiwa Rais, tuulize hii. Rais anasema hapana, hiyo msionyeshe kateni. Inawekwa kibindoni, unanyongwa na maneno inatulia namna hiyo.
Kunanyesha sana and then the
point ndio hii serikali inataka kulegeza Kenya.
Kama mto kalikuwa hapo na kalikuwa kameja.
Na tutakubali Kenya kurejea mahali tulikuwa miaka 40 iliyopita. Mr. Speaker, 1992 nimesikia ndugu yangu hapa Omito ameumauma ulimi akitutangazia vile anajua historia na hakuna historia anajua. Tunaweza kusupport ya kwamba yani serikali izime media tusione kile kinaendelea, ni kama anataka kutugelegeza hiyo miaka iliyopita. Mr. Speaker,
Moi na Mudavadi jamaa yangu ndiye kwenda mbio kuifungua ni Raila Odinga. Mr. Speaker, sijasema sijui, nimesema yeye ndio Gachagua alisema we shall devolve power, we shall diffuse power, we shall rearrange power and shall devolve power. Ikawa tayari washaanza kung'oa yale makucha katika ofisi ya rais. Na Raila was parliamentary system, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister katika forces huko hana nguvu zinapewa institutions. Mahakama inapewa nguvu zake. Sasa akiniambia ati mimi sijui na Raila alitaka nchi ibadilike kitambo. 207 Raila alisema yakisikia we are going for the third and final liberation. Alisema 2013 akasema we are dealing with the tax and
then tukaenda kwa hii market
kwa kule Kwale. Jona alisema kuna nyingi sana hapa nini?
But the most according to sijawahi ona
tena walisherehekea kunywa chai hapo, chai mingi sana hapa. Hao ndio kwenye giza asituambia hata anataka mwangaza. Lakini Raila wakati huu
unazitoaje nyumbani, unaziingiza kwa gari, unakuja unaziofload. Unajua ni kama tu mzigo mwingine yoyote unaziweka kwa lori na unakuja
utajua mabadiliko hapa. Giza.
Mr. Speaker, ni asante sana kwa Omido. Lakini mimi nataka kusema namna hii. Mimi simuguzi tena na hiyo kipara yake kama kio. Mr. Speaker, leo kilichofanyika leo Kenya hii, serikali kuzima kupeperusha matangazo direct ilikuwa ni kinyume na sheria. Katika mambo ya media, it is an international law that you cannot uwezi kusimamisha media wasipeperushe maneno. Serikali ikakosa kujua siku hizi mambo ndenjeto. Unazima media, tunaingia kwa YouTube. Unazima media, tunaingia live kwa TikTok. Unazima media, tunaingia WhatsApp, tunaingia Facebook live na tukichukua picha kutoka kwa satellite. Ukizima hiyo media, tunaingia kwa X. Mahali Ruto aliitwa na majenzi. Kwa hivyo mimi ile kitu nataka kusema, serikali yetu iwache kutaka kutulegeza mahali tulikuwa miaka 50. Iwache chochote kinaotendeka Kenya hii watu wa media watutangazie. Kwani urongo jamani? Mr. Speaker, kama ingelikuwa ni mambo ya serikali haingelisimamisha media kupeperusha. Lakini kwa vile ni mambo ya mwananchi wa kawaida, serikali inakimbia pale, inaenda inakata. Kuna wimbo mmoja leo nimesikia na nafikiri hiyo ndio ilifanya media leo isimamishwe. Ngoma inaimbwa hasira za nini we Kasongo, wataka kutua bure Kasongo. Hiyo nyimbo nafikiri ndio imefanya media leo ikatwe, sababu hiyo wimbo ilikuwa itakikani isikizwe, lakini tumeisikia kwa mtandao. Kwa hivyo Mr. Speaker, nataka kukuambia hapa, hii serikali kulingana na vile maandamano imekuwa leo, imeonyesha wazi, na mimi nikiangalia na macho ya kiroho, hii serikali ni one term. Hii ni one term. Na tunasema hivyo tukiwa tunampenda sana William Ruto na rais wetu wa Kenya. Lakini vitendo viliofanyika ndani ya serikali yake, baba, 2027 ni tawi. Mheshimiwa Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka ndiye anakuja kuwa rais wa hii nchi 2027. Upende usipende, ukipenda ukae Kenya, ukikataa nenda Somalia ama Southern Sudani ukatulia huko mpaka amalize miaka yake 10. Asante sana.
Na siogopi kuongea. Mimi nimekatwa, nimetairiwa. Nimefanywa vitu zote za mwanaume anafaa afanye. Hakuna haja ya kuogopa. Nimeimbiwa usiku saa 10 msituni na nikatairiwa. Hakuna haja tuogope kuongea. Kwa nini uogope? Wewe siogopa kifo. Hata kama kifo itakufuata, hata usipotacha Ruto, si Ruto akuchukue, hata kingine kitesa kukuchukua. Wacha tuambiane ukweli. Wacha tumwambie rais ukweli. Tusiogope. Bwana Rais, hii siasa iko mwaka huu sio ile ilikuwa 1982 ama 1997. Hii siasa nyingine. Tafadhali rudi nyuma, ita vijana, ongea nao. Tafadhali. Kwa sababu siasa yenye ilikuwa 82 ni kusema huyu ni Mkisii, nimechukua Nyachai, kwa hivyo nimesaa teka nyara wa Kisii wote. Huyu ni Mjaruo, nimesaa chukua Raila, nimesaa teka Wajaruo wote. Huyu ni Mugiriama, nimesaa chukua Usui Karisa Matai, sui nani, nimeteka. Siasa yenye tumeona kabla hujasima media, tumeona na masimu. Simu siko za mkobo, na wao uliambia Wachina wakaleta simu za mkobo, ukipeana 500 unapewa simu. Tunaona vile makamera zimechukuliwa na wenzetu wakatuma. Kumeandamanwa paka Eldoret kwako. Bwana Brethren.
Baya huko.
Eldoret kwako kumeandamanwa na mkatuma vijana. Mr. Oscar Sud, I want you. Ile yenye umefanya si vizuri, kuleta vijana wakavuruga amani vijana walikuwa nayo kwa kutetea wenzao walipoteza maisha yao hapo Eldoret. Nodioni ile Eldoret. Kumeandamanwa Kisii, Kisumu, paka sehemu za Meru, Homa Bay, kila mahali, pira mahali popote Kenya kumeandamanwa kwa kukumbuka wale wenye waliopoteza maisha. Kwa nini nimeongea hivyo? Sisi kama wafuasi wa mzee Raila Amolo Odinga tumekuwa tukikaa naye tunaongojea msaa tuambie tuende barabarani. Lakini sisi rika hii yenye ya Gen-Z hatuna kabila. Hatuna Mkisii, hatuna Mjaruo, hatuna Mugiriama, hatuna nani. Tunasema haki ifanye nini? Ifanye nini? Bwana Rais William Samoei Ruto, tunakuheshimu kulingana Constitution inasema wewe ni rais na ulikula viapo 3. Ulikula viapo 3 Kasarani. Kiapo ya kwanza unalinda Constitution, kiapo ya pili unalinda inji, na kiapo ya 3 hiyo ndio unatuumiza nayo. Ni amri jeshi yenye uko na kisu, hiyo ya 3 ndio unaumiza hao vijana wadogo. Tafadhali, sisi hatuna nguvu, pesa zote unazo, kila kitu unazo. Tafadhali hurumia vijana wenye hata hawajaoa miaka 17, usiwamalize, utamaliza kisasi. Tafadhali tunakuomba Bwana Rais. Tunajua wewe ni mkali. Kama wewe ni mkali, si ushike Gachagua. Si ushike Matiang'i. Si ushike Juju ni Wamarwa. Shika kina Chimi Wanchigi. Shika hao. Unaua vijana wana nini wa maskini. Wanarara Kibera. Wanaishi maporomokoni Kibarani, wengine wanaishi pale chini. Sasa vijana utawamaliza. Wasasi wao hawana kitu, hawana chakula, hawana lolote, unawamaliza watasika na nini? Gachagua anakutusi kila siku. Uchaimfanyia kitu, muweke pingu. Tukuone wewe ni shimba. Wewe si kuwa simba kwa maskini. Sasa kijana mdogo huyu mwenye analia pale amepigwa. Gachagua yuko pale anakutusi. Anasema Kasongo si one time. Kasongo shika Gachagua. Ndio tukuone you are amri jeshi, commander in chief. Tumia mamlaka yako. Shika Matiang'i, akishuka kwa ndege mwambie Matiang'i unaenda wapi. Weka bingu. Uone kama mtu atalalamika. Lakini sisi vijana wa maskini wenye wanaishi huko Kibarani huko, wanaishi huko Bangara hapa Mombasa, wengine wanaishi Olympic huko Nairobi, wengine wanaishi kule Kisumu kule chini, wengine wanaishi Baredore, wameisha. Umemaliza maskini. Na ulisema bottom up. Mtu wa chini, ulisema mtu wa chini kumumaliza. Ama ulisema aje? Bwana Rais, rudi nyuma, angalia kilibu zako senye uliongea. Tafadhali, wazazi wanalia. Wengine niliona kwa taarifa, nyumba yenye ndiye inachengwa, nyumba hata chapigwa mchanga ndiye imechengwa, kijana ameraliwa marisasi. Sisi tunaomba hivi kama vijana, tunasema tafadhali, sisi hatuna vita na wewe Bwana Rais William Samoei Ruto. Vijana hawana shida na wewe. Vijana shida ni ile hawana kazi. Bwana President, former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta alileta kazi kwa vijana, akatengeneza barabara kutoka town mpaka airport, kutoka town mpaka Dungokundu, akatengeneza reli, akatengeneza Ramport, akatengeneza Kisumu Port. Vijana wakachukuliwa kikazi. Bwana Rais, Dungokundu umesema economic zone unatengenezea watu wa Mombasa. Saa hii mashini zilifika zikaondolewa.
Very good.
Let me tell you.
Baya sana.
Hakuna project hii Mombasa County. Bwana Omar Mwinyi MP na wale Bwana Joe na wengine, tafadhali mkifika kwa rais muelezee hakuna project yenye inaendelea hapa between Mombasa. Hakuna, vijana wana kazi. Kwa sababu gani? Barabara ya Madafuni Chomvu, ukielekea Chomvu, Uhuru vile aliacha hiyo flyover iko hivyo hivyo. Bwana, tunaona sisi watu wenye wanakuja hapa Mombasa ni Oscar Sudi anachenga nini yake kule chini Tungonusu, na Garissa County ya Nairobi simeandikwa. Na tunakwambia ukweli, hatuwezi ficha. Bwana President, mimi nikimaliza nikikwambia, na afadhali msasi mzuri, afadhali usikize mtoto. Mtoto mwenye anakuambia anakupenda. Wale wenye wanakusema uko vizuri wanakudanganya. Sisi tuko hapa, hata tukifungua grip, sisi ndio tukupigia kura. Na sisi tumeona mambo yendi vizuri. Sisi tunakupenda wenye tulikuchagua, ndio maana tunakuambia. Wenye hawakuchagua wanakula marawe na chapati, wanaona uko vibaya, next wakuja wakuruke.
Malema na baridi.
Hapa Mombasa 100% watu wenye wanahangaika ni wale wenye walikuwa nyuma yako. Sisi tumesema vijana wenye walikuwa wanataka mambo mengine kuingia bunge, sisi hatuko kuenda hapo. Kuingia mahali popote, mahali baba serikali barastados, sisi hatuko. Lakini uchumbe ni tafadhali samea watoto wa maskini. Tunaomba utushikie Gachagua, utushikie na Kalonzo na Matiang'i, uwashika hao kina nani mnatembea weka ndani. Achana na maskini. Maskini hana kitu, hana chakula, hana lolote. Usuru leo hii anakatwa kila kitu, kila mahali, na hana kazi. Hakuna project inaendelea Mombasa. Afadhali Uhuru alifungua ma project, hakuna kazi. Si uweke vijana, uite vijana waambie shida ni nini, vile Uhuru alikuwa anawaita. Uhuru alikuwa anawauliza shida ni nini. Vijana wanamwambia kazi kwa mtaa. Waletea kazi mtaani. Hii pesa ulichukua China wape. Kila Jumamosi wape 5,500. Vijana watanyamaza, ni njaa tu inaumiza hawa vijana. Hawa vijana wameandamana tangu asubuhi mpaka jioni hawaendi kukula kitu. Ni njaa tu, wasikize. Yeye ni simba. Lakini sikiza hawa vijana tafadhali. Bwana William Samoei Ruto, uliambia Uhuru Kenyatta, tafadhali acha watoto wangu. Gachagua akakwambia acha watoto wangu. Kila mtu analilia watoto wake. Maskini atalilia nani? Maskini atalilia nani? Nyinyi mnalia acha watoto wetu. Wewe unalilia Uhuru acha watoto wetu. Gachagua analia acha watoto wetu. Kalonzo analia acha. Kila mtu analia acha watoto wake. Maskini atalilia nani acha watoto wake? Sisi tunaongea hata tuko na hasira na tuko na nini? Na machozi. Na kwa sababu na leo ni siku ya makumbusho. Tafadhali acheni watoto wa maskini. Watoto wa maskini ni njaa. Njaa inafanya wanapiga kelele. Wale watoto wa maskini wape kazi, wape chakula, wape kila kitu. Watoto wa maskini hawana shida. Shikeni hao mapigi fisi, waeke ndani. Hata mimi kutoka Kisii nisikie Matiang'i ameshikwa pale, ndio nitachua sasa wewe ni simba umeshika ule. Acheni hao maskini. Mimi sina mengi. Ujumbe nataka ifike. Oscar Sudi, leta pigipigi Kenya mzima. Tunajua una pesa. Leteni pigipigi Kenya mzima, pea watu, wacha kupea wale wa kabila yako peke yako. Peane mabirika kila mahali, masiwe wekwe. Watu wakunywa masiwa. Sisi hatunashinda sana.
Mimi ni mzee Udori. Nimeona uhuru wa kwanza, uhuru wa pili, uhuru wa tatu, wa nne na wa tano. Yule bwana naongea sasa na nyinyi na Kenya. Leo ilikuwa siku takatifu. Mabishop wa Catholic juzi walitangaza maombolezi, kumbukumbu. Wale watoto waliuawa kwa njia mbaya waliingia kwenye bunge mwaka jana. Mabishop wa Catholic wakafanya maombi. Hiyo ni mzuri kiroho, kukumbuka birthday. Si kwenda barabarani. Hiyo si maombi. Leo asubuhi Mheshimiwa Kalonzo tumemwona akitia maua nje ya bunge. Ameruhusiwa kwenye bunge kuingia kama mheshimiwa, akatia maua kukumbuka wale watoto waliouawa. Si maandamano hii mpaka saa hii ni maombi kweli? Hii mpaka saa hii ni maombi kweli? Na hii ni maombi kweli? Mwataka kufa na nchi ni yenu. Niliwaambia hapa, mpeni time Ruto afanye kazi yake. Katika kila boma kuna mtoto mpole. Mwingine kuongea, mwingine kimya kimya, sehemu hujui amekasirika, ameshiba hujui, kwa kimya kimya tu. Akilipuka hujui, hasemi. Kwa hivyo Ruto msimandareti. Mbunge aliyotoka hapa amesema huyu ni legitimate president. Ni mtu amechaguliwa akapishwa, si mtoto. Watoto mtakufa nyinyi. Na ndeni kisiasa pole pole. Nyama simba kila nyama, kutoa nyama kwenye mdomo wake rafiki yangu utapata tabu sana. Ruto kwenye nyama amefanya kampeni, akatoa pesa, akazuka na ndege. Wewe utakatoa nyama. Ngoja 27 ikifika, una kadi yako, fanya kazi yako. Msimtukane, mumkosoe. Hii ya leo ulofanya kama sahi ni waste of time. Yangu ni hayo. Mungu
jela yangu mimi ningewafunga wote. Mr. Speaker, baada ya machafuko ya 2007 tulikuja na watu kutusaidia maisha. Watu wanakufa, tunaambiwa na kabila fulani, Kibaki ni rais. Katiba ikatengenezwa na Gerald Otieno Kajwang, the best student Ambera Boys, with his record he left in Ambera Boys. Kama wewe mjalo ujue leo. Alituambia we in ODM we shall diffuse power. We shall rearrange power. We shall devolve power. Au we shall dilute power. Kweli hivyo vitu vyote vilishukishwa chini. Lakini jamii mbili yetu ya Mount Kenya na Wanandi wakaungana. Mamlaka ambayo yalikuwa imetolewa katika ofisi ya rais yote yakarudishwa huko kwa ofisi ya rais. Baada ya kumtoa Mtula Kilonzo kwa wizara ya sheria na kumweka jamaa yangu Eunice Wamalwa, wali dilute all areas ambazo zilikuwa zimetolewa kwa ofisi ya rais, zimekuwa devolved. Bunge ilikuwa imepewa nguvu, IG ilikuwa imepewa nguvu yake kwa polisi. Kukiwa kuna shida ni IG atajibu. Wakatoa mamlaka ya communication wakaja katika ofisi ya rais. Signal ya communication iko na ofisi ya rais. Na mamlaka ya Kenya, ndugu zanguni, msidanganywe leo. The president ana nguvu nyingi sana. Amezima TV 207. Kibaki pia alizima TV akijitangaza rais. Kwa nini mmeingia Kenya leo nyinyi? Kibaki alizima TV akijitangaza rais na watu 12 pale kwa ofisi yake. Kwa hivyo mliambiwa hawa jamaa hawataki kubadilika maisha na msitarajie mabadiliko Kenya hii saa hii. Na hawa vijana wanaandamana, mimi nawaambia poleni sana. Raila alileta katiba mpya. Mr. Speaker, wakati wa katiba mpya ilikuwa tuangalie Kenya na shida gani. Raila akaleta hii katiba mpya na marehemu Ntamba Kitonga, mwanafunzi wa Magongo Primary zamani, babake akiwa chief pale Majengo karibu jirani yangu, alipoandika katiba alipatia PNU na ODM nafasi 10 za PNU, nafasi 11 za ODM, waende Naivasha watuletee mfumo wa serikali, system of government. Ours, we in ODM, we were for parliamentary system. Parliamentary system, you only choose 2 people. You choose the MCA and the MP. Ile muungano ama chama imetoa bunge wengi, kiongozi anakuwa nini? Anakuwa prime minister. Hawa Balala alihongwa, Ruto akahongwa, Mudavadi akahongwa. Ile kitu ikafail, ukaenda presidential system hii. Unajua ukinipatia mimi barua ya harusi mimi, unajua mimi na bibi na mjukuu, lazima ike kiti ya bibi yangu na mjukuu wangu mekee maziwa yake na chupa. So ukinipatia barua ya harusi lazima uandike Mr. and Mr. Sio usiandike Mr. peke yake. Mimi nimeoa bwana na nina mjukuu. Paka uniwekee chupa yangu ya mtoto wa maziwa na kiti ya bibi yangu. Sasa hawa jamaa wametuletea shida hawa ambao walitangulia nchi hii. Ilikuwa tupige kura ngapi? Ya MCA na mbunge peke yake rafiki yangu. Chama ambayo imetoa bunge wengi ndio inatoa prime minister. Hawa kakataa. Sijui governor, sijui senator, sijui mrepara kazi gani watu hao. Ya pili walikatalia mamlaka. Ati Kenya ina miaka 60 mpaka leo hii ati bado kuna kelele. What's wrong? Ati Kenya mpaka leo kuna kelele. Kelele ya nini? Wakati huu unatarajia ni nani atatuza hii Kenya? Mlitaka Raila alitaka kutuliza hii nchi, mkakataa. Ni mzee hajatairiwa, Jaluo. Mimi nataka niwapatie historia ya mwisho nikae chini. Mtu wa kwanza kuwa mbunge mwanamke Afrika, kuwa mayor Afrika, Grace Onyango Kisumu, ikiitwa Port Elizabeth. Mbunge wa kwanza mwanamke Grace Ogot, 1972. The best and first lawyer in Africa, Kodek. The best music iliimbwa East and Central Africa, number 1. Sasa ni lunch time tufunge hiyo. Peter Dao, the best player, top 10 Africa and the best East and Central Africa. Gor Mahia, the best club. Kulikuwa na Mboya, kukawa kuna huko, kukawa kuna aliyefungwa miaka mingi sana jela ni Mjaluo miaka 42. Mchezaji wa kwanza kucheza pro ni nani? Ni Michael Okot, naiba yangu kule nyumbani. Gang mchezaji wa kwanza. So hii jamii ya Wajaluo ina uongozi, ina utawala. Mmedanganywa, mmeshikwa mateka, Wakisii mmeshikwa mateka, Wabaluya mmeshikwa mateka, Wagirango mmeshikwa mateka na hizi kabila mbili. Hizi kabila zipo katika mamlaka ndugu yangu. Kenya hakuna mabadiliko yote. Mtaangamia hivi na kelele kila siku. Kwani rais hajui la kufanyia wa Kenya mpaka kelele hajui? Kwa katiba rais ana mamlaka ya kuzima TV. Na rais akiona hali si nzuri kesho huko mbele ana mamlaka ya kuzuia maandamano. Hii mamlaka hakuwa nayo, alirudishiwa nani? Wamalwa. Alipotoa Mtula Kilonzo wakaweka Wamalwa. Kwa hivyo mjenzi poleni, ngojeni kura ifike tarehe 2027 muondoe Ruto. Na vile mnavyoenda Ruto mtamuondoa. Ruto ndio miaka 10. Lazima mbadilishe sasa yenu, mpige siasa ya hekima, siasa ya adabu, siasa. Kenyatta alitawala hakusumbuliwa. Kibaki akatawala hakusumbuliwa. Uhuru akatawala hakusumbuliwa. Mmemsumbua Moi, mnamsumbua Ruto. Miaka 3 tunatarajia Ruto afanye mambo gani hapa Kenya? Miaka 3. Miaka 3 utafanya nini? Ruto alitafuta kura akiwa aspirant. Na akiwa aspirant anaweza kuongea chochote. Sasa hii ni president power. Boss, usicheze na rais aliyeapishwa. Usicheze na rais aliyeapishwa. Rais aliyeapishwa mbele ya wananchi usicheze naye. Mimi ndio nimaanisha hii bunge nilitoroka kule kwa Hola. Yaani nilisikia kule kwa Hola. Nikafungua hii bunge na bunge ya bomu. Jamaa ameshikwa Mombasa hapa juu, ameshikwa. Ameshikwa. Kwa nini na wewe ukiongea vibaya ukishikwa shauri yako mimi sikusaidii?
Nawasalimia wabunge wenzangu, hamjambo? Ninapoongea sitaongea historia. Naongea kitu chenye niliona macho yangu angale nikiwa hai. Wakati Kenyatta alikufa, redio nilisikia redio mingi ya kwisha. 1982 wakati wa mapinduzi nilisikia kila kitu imekatwa. Kwa hivyo hatujaanza leo kuona media ikikatwa. Hatujaanza leo, Mr. Speaker, hatujaanza leo kuona mambo ya media ikikatwa. Na wabunge wenzangu, naomba kitu kimoja. Mwenye yuko katika mamlaka avoid abusions. Mzazi aliyekuzaa hata awe ni mbwa, hata awe ni mbuzi, simtukane. We have only one president at the moment, ambaye ni Rais William Samoei Ruto. Unanielewa? Tunaye rais na ni Rais William Samoei Ruto. Na kama tunahitaji kumuondoa, si mara hii na si leo na si kesho, ni 027. Hii mambo ya kwenda street, nafikiri nakumbuka vizuri sana, Kalonzo Musyoka alituambia kwamba tarehe 25 ambapo ni leo, kwamba itakuweko ni makumbusho la jenzi walio. Alafu hii siku ya leo tarehe 25 watoto wanaingia barabarani, watoto wanaenda kupora mali za watu. Jamani, nikuuliza swali, uko hapa? Nikuuliza swali, na uko hapa? Je, hii ni ndugu yako ya njugu, hata kama uanga njugu zako ni shilingi 300 na zimeporwa, utasikiaje? Utajishi vipi? Kwa hivyo tusidanganyane. Kama ni kuingia street, ingia peacefully. Don't interfere with somebody's property. Don't interfere with somebody. Kwa hivyo nikimalizia nasema hivi, Ruto ni kumi.
Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, maandamano ya leo ya vijana, baada ya kuangalia hiyo maandamano, nimeifuatilia kuanzia asubuhi mpaka sasa, bado inaendelea na bado wako barabarani. Nyumba ya Madhira MP Wambui naona iko kwa moto, wanachoma vitu. Dagoretti Police Station pia naona imechomwa. Nataka niwakumbuze vijana, mimi ni Gen Z wenzenu. Hii Kenya hata muandamane mpaka 2027, there will be no change. There will be no unconstitutional change. Hakuna mabadiliko itafanyika kinyume na sheria. Hapo tuelewane. Hata kesho mrudi barabarani, lakini there will be no unconstitutional change. Hapo tunafaa tunaelewana. Hii ni nchi ambayo inaongozwa na sheria ziko. Na pia Mheshimiwa Speaker, lazima sisi wa Kenya tukumbuke, hii serikali is a legitimate government. Is a legitimate government. Ni serikali ambayo iliapishwa na katiba ya Kenya, na katiba ndio supreme document of this land. Jua usuru ngapi tumepoteza leo CBD? Sasa kuuliza swali hapo. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy. JC alikuwa amepotoka zamani, amebadilika kabisa, amechange. From your point of view, from your knowledge, ndio wananchi wapate kuelimika. The president is the head of state. The president is the head of government. The president is the symbol of unity. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed force. Watu wako hapa, hebu waambie maana hiyo vitu nimekuambia, ndio wajue huyu rais anatoka wapi, anafika wapi kisheria. Unajua ndio shida ya JNC ni sheria. Unasikia? Na hao maandamano yao ilikuwa budget. Baada ya budget wakaunganisha Ruto Masugo. Leo ni Kasongo nyimbo ilipo na Super Mazembe. Kasongo nyimbo na Super Mazembe, mimi nikiwa secondary school form 2. Kakamega Super Mazembe, hiyo nyimbo ni Kasongo ni mwanamuziki ambaye alipiga na Super Mazembe, maana yake tractor Kizaire, alikuwa anapiga tarumbeta. Hiyo Kasongo namjua sana. Kwa hivyo elimisha watu katiba, the word presidency and president, labda ukienda mbali watu kupata. Ndio wasicheze na sasa amekula kiapo vile umesema. Amekula kiapo, tukaenda kotini, tukashindwa tena. Otea akapewa mambo. Asante. National unity. Regardless of the party ambayo alichaguliwa nayo. The ones who have been sworn in as the president of the Republic of Kenya uko na duty ya kuunganisha Wakenya. Hiyo ndio sheria yenye iko. The president ako na power zote. Mheshimiwa Speaker. So mimi Kenya naendelea kusema Mheshimiwa Speaker, Kenya ni nchi ambayo inaongozwa na katiba, na tusichukue katiba yetu tuweke mchezo ndani ya katiba yetu. Vijana lazima tuelewane.